when we're dealing with PNN, we are dealing with the death card and the tower card. So something is clearly, this is a message of powerful sort of upheaval transformation. Let's look at this quasi moon. I just find it very interesting. I did learn through internet research a quasi moon. It's not really a moon in the sense that it's orbiting as a satellite around Earth, but somehow this moon for 60 years is in our same cycle of Earth's orbit around the sun. So, it in effect is a moon for about 60 years, and sometimes the gravitational pull of the Earth will bring it closer. Now, this object is very small, and apparently it's like, I think it's about 62 miles. And so it's really a small rock, but why is it now like with us, right? And it's also has been hidden on the other side, which is interesting because the numerology speaks of things that are hidden. So, the way I was taught to decipher comets is through the name, and the name is the name. A lot of these things used to be named after who discovered it, but now everything's discovered by some large entity in a telescope, and it's just nameless. But this particular quasi moon is 2025 PN9, which that's PN9. And P, as a lot of you know, is the letter Pe in Hebrew, which is attributed to the tower card, and Nun, the letter N in English, is attributed to the death card. That's the P, P and N. So remember, the tower card, I have shared from time to time that in this card, and pull it out so you can really get a sense, but you can see here, there are these, those were, the teaching is those were soldiers in rigid, militant formation, military formation and lockstep. And the tower is breaking all of that up, like the guards. So where you're guarded and frozen and stuck or militant, it's time for you to sort of bust those walls right open. And where you're just too stiff and rigid, it's not going to work now. Your conscious, everything moves fast. You have to move fast and light. Your consciousness has to adapt if you want to operate well. And that's part of the message here. So the old ways are dying. It'll be a bummer for you if you're stuck into those old ways. But let's let the world sort that out. For us, we're going to use this as a message, first and foremost, of the most powerful transformation. When you're dealing with these two together, getting real, and this is an awakening energy, and the death card is a liberation. If you look at this death card, it's actually Osiris. It's the headdress of Osiris, who represents from a human state to a divine state, and from the mundane to, it's the highest, most spiritual, most divine. And that he wears that headdress. So this isn't like death and wanton violence and just an orgy of war death, like the Black Sabbath song, War Pigs, generals gathered in their masses like witches at black masses. So this is about a powerful liberation and transformation, which is also what Easter is about. It also tells me geopolitically, we will, this old age, and this sort of represents on one level the Piscean age. Osiris is a sacrificed god. The Piscean age, or in magic known as the age of Osiris, whether we know the mythology of Christ being crucified or Osiris being cut into 14 pieces and then restored by the goddess Isis through love and magic. Love is the law of magic. So restoration, transformation, then the restoration. But the thing is, we have already passed that threshold some time ago. So we're operating in this new paradigm, but not everyone is. So they're going to get stuck in these old ways. So if you're rigid and stiff and, you know, dogmatic, if you will, this tower card's really going to disrupt. But again, for us, what are those stiff walls, our obstacles, our blocks? And where are you just like, you're this like, where do you forget that you are like you are divine and you have great power and ability, not power for the sake of power, but you can move mountains and create big change and leave powerful legacies on this planet. Don't get caught up in what the surface is big or small, but there's a lot of love that needs to be had. But this energy for the rest of the world, I think we'll see still a lot more shakeups. But I wanted to go deeper into the name. And really, there's two numbers to tinker with here, if you will. P and N, that equals 80 and 50. So you have 2, 0, 2, 5, 80, 50, and 7 is the total of its name. And that equals 146. But for me, when I just say it, the name of it, I'm going to say 2025, or I'm going to say Quasi-Moon 2025 PN7. So I decided to look at both. Let's look at 146. It is to end, to close, and to limit. You could take that so many ways, but I'll get deeper into the intent here. But also with these numbers, when I give you these definitions, don't be strict. Don't be the rigid, militant, strict, these are the rules, because you're going to get blasted. So open up your consciousness. That's what the tower really is doing. But so it is an ending. I think where it's still, this is another hint that the old ways are done, but it takes time from our perspective, but from a great cosmic clock perspective, all of this is like probably nanoseconds. The idea here is the limit is taking the limitless and making it limited, meaning from this limitless nothing, we turn that into something, and you can create something out of nothing. So that end to close to limit, I think we get into a mindset, oh, we don't want to be limited, right? I use that language all the time. Like, you know, Easter is about releasing yourself from your self-imposed restrictions and limitations. So those are false blocks. But if you were to create something, and there's just this creative juice of the cosmos going around, and you get this divine inspiration, you're writing a poem, starting a business, making a sandwich, having a life-changing medical invention. I don't know, the list, it's limitless there, the possibilities probably. In order for something to be actualized, to come to fruition, well, that has to be limited. The buck has to stop somewhere. That's Saturn. Saturn's going to limit, and those limitations help create. Like, because also, it's like in yoga and Kundalini, we chant Om, right? O-N-G, because Om, in these other traditions, one that I grew up with, that's very limitless, and your consciousness can just drift off. Right? That's the joke. That's very Pisces or Neptune. There's no limits. It's the infinite cosmos. So there's no boundary. Well, you can draw for them that, but you need limits in order to create. You need a structure. So sort of abstract that. But it is an ending of an era to close something. And it also means the miraculous and the marvelous. This is a hint of a cycle of things that are miraculous and marvelous. Miracles. Something out of nothing, to take nothing into something through that limit. So it's like the miracles of limits, structure, form. But let's look into 182 more than the band. But I thought that was funny. One of the first meetings I came across of the number 182 is a layer of snares, little traps. What's snaring you? What's taking you? Where are you getting stuck? Where are you getting snared? Where are you getting tripped up? Right. So I would take this quite literally as a warning, but a reminder of the teaching of where your lower self wants to act up. Because one of the other meanings, and it's biblical reference, which I don't know a lot about, but it is considered the field of blood, which was a field bought by Judas, according to my research, and where he died. First of all, field of blood, I mean, could that be war and all of that? Yeah, sure. But what is Judas an archetype of? Is a betrayal against the teacher, which is really a betrayal against the teachings, which is not a betrayal against the teacher. Teachers will all be betrayed. People go dark on their path. So this is telling you, there's snares. And then the field of blood owned by Judas, the most famous in our culture, one of the most famous of traitors, besides Benedict Arnold, if you're an American, to betray the teacher. You're really betraying yourself. In magic, as a student in magic, you are really taught to stay on the path. Endurance is one of the highest virtues, and you learn it in the beginning. And I have seen since 2020, since that great conjunction, a lot of people go dark on their path and then go anti their teacher. All you're doing is harming yourself. And the betrayal like that is not serving. So I think that's a snare to be aware of, where you're snared, where you get triggered and you're like, oh, I can't do this. I think of like so much, the amount of marvelous and miraculous miracles, a little redundant, but in my life through these practices, like tangible results that I talk about and other people share with me and other people talk about. And then all of a sudden people just disregard everything that happened. That's their journey, but I'm saying this is a message for you. Don't you think you're betraying the path, or you think, you're going to go anti, or this is all bullshit, it's all made up. Okay. But that's your lower self. That's your inner Judas. You're only betraying yourself in the evolution of your soul, and you're making it harder. So this is a reminder of your commitment to all of this, which is ultimately a commitment to your own evolution. There's only one career or job in magic, and it's that to, pursue with zeal your evolution. Now let's lighten it up a little. So don't go anti, whether it's teacher, but it's teachings, but it's all anti yourself. What is interesting is, so 182 are the blood cells holding negative patterns. Well, it's pretty common knowledge that we store traumas and whatnot in our bodies, but our blood is really the flow, our life force flow. Some sort of metaphysical interpretations of the flow of blood also relates to a flow of joy, right? So also, I'm not telling you any medical advice or what you should do with your health, but this seems to hint at perhaps some sort of foods or nutrition, what some people would call blood tonics, but it's also really, what's your life force tonic? So what are the negative sort of patterns in your life force? Is it being drained? But it also means Melech Elohim. Now, the God name of Malkuth, one of them, which is the 10 and the 10 year, is Adonai Melech. Melech Elohim loosely means the messenger of God. So that tells me this little rock that's become a quasi moon, its message is it's a messenger of God, a messenger of the divine. I think mini moons or comets are messengers. Here's another interesting thing. It's passive, and it means sleep, work that's done when you're sleeping. Right away, that's like work on dreams, prophetic dreaming, maybe start a dream journal. Start looking at your dreams. I have information about dreams, but I thought that was really interesting. Speaking of the messenger, and I'll leave it with this, 182, a Latin transliteration into the numerology and the gematria as it's known, is the unicorn from the stars, which is symbolic of Hermes, Thoth, or Mercury, which are the messengers on one level. So it's like this little rock is a unicorn from the stars. In modern context, a unicorn is that special. How did that even happen, right? Like in businesses, there'll just be a unicorn, but there's just this one fortunate thing. or people chase false unicorns. The negative side of Mercury, which is this unicorn of the stars, is falsehood. But for us, it's a truth, it's communication. And I think it's saying there's something very hidden and special here, and your dreams can come true. So keep me posted on our quasi moon